They're also, I think they also may be associated with that particular permitting software. Permit link.
Yeah,
They're able
to be
to,
tied through that.
right,
And all three of the invoices were completely different. The two that you got, one was, looked different, and then the one that went to another gentleman, that one looked completely different.
I think
as
the
well.
seal didn't even say the town.
One
of Sterling.
seal said
Yeah.
Sterling, Worcester County, Mass.
Yes, yes.
And one of them was the town, our town logo.
But I didn't notice those when I came.
And that's ready to go.
Okay, 6:30. Good evening, everyone. This is the planning and zoning meeting of February 9th at 6:30 p.m. Call the meeting to order. And first of all, we'll do is the pledge of allegiance. And for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Audience comments. Do we have any comments from the audience before we get started?
I'm just here to, I don't, it's not on the agenda, but I'm here to try to join the board, so.
Yes, and we should have had a
It's under
section review on here.
6C.
There it is. Okay, yeah, I didn't see it. Thank you. Yep, you're on the agenda, so we'll get to you shortly. No other comments, and we don't have anybody on Zoom that wants to speak, right? We have Mr. Blanchett, but that'll be for Mr. Corson's application. Okay, we'll move on. Meeting minutes. We have public hearing meeting minutes from January 12th.
The amendment that is needed is, I put that the zoning next meeting would be February 12th, which should be February 9th.
Oh. Oh, yeah. I didn't even notice that.
I didn't even.
And I read this too, I swear. Has everyone had a chance to read the minutes?
Special meeting? Public.
Public hearing.
The public hearing meeting minutes, yep.
It's right under the agenda.
We have a motion?
Make a motion to accept the January 12th hearing minutes
With one amendment
for all of one amendment. Correct.
to,
That's what we need to
to change February 12th to February 9th.
change February 12th to February.
I second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next. Regular meeting minutes from January 12th, 2026. I'm looking for typos now here.
Thanks.
Let me see the first
I did the next meeting is correct on this one, under B.
one. Yeah, I saw that, yeah. See any mistakes, anything, any changes, adjustments? No. Okay,
Motion to accept the regular meeting minutes for Monday, January 12th as presented.
Second motion.
all those in favor? Okay, moving on. Correspondence, we do have correspondence. Should I read this, should I just read this in, or do we not need to read it for the record?
I would just read in what the subject is.
Okay,
And so you're aware, one of these came into planning and zoning, inland wetlands, ZBA, the first selectman.
Yeah.
Yeah, building office.
okay, so we do have correspondence. It is a letter from Pullman and Conley dated February 3rd, 2026. And is regarding a proposed 50 megawatt AC ground mounted solar photovoltaic facility to be located at 318 Sterling Hill Road in Plainfield, Connecticut, 0 Sugarbrook Road in Plainfield, Connecticut, and 166 Sterling Road in Sterling, Connecticut. This letter will be entered into the record. But basically, we're proposing ground-mounted solar photovoltaic systems in 3 locations, totals approximately 460 acres.
That's
It
the,
doesn't say if that's the,
it's not, that's the total combined acreage of the
Acreage.
land, but it's
not
about
necessarily
200.
the,
Right,
yeah, yeah.
it's about 200 acres that will have the panels on it.
yeah, so total parcel of 460 acres, and then, does it say in here?
It doesn't in here.
It doesn't in here, but yeah, so you have other information.
They made a presentation, Verigy made a presentation to the board of selectmen. And the selectmen have a binder that's got,
Lots of info.
So there's 200 acres of solar panels,
correct,
so, and there's that much there.
yes.
The binder should include maps, all kinds of stuff.
And the presentation that they gave us last week did include maps of the property. So it's with the Connecticut Siting Council.
How many of those acres are in Sterling?
Less than 100.
Combined parcel between, says 460 acres of combined parcels between Sterling Road, Sterling Hill Road in Plainfield, and Sterling, Connecticut, and approximately 33 acres and 7-acre parcel on Sterling Road in Sterling. 2 parcels totaling 17 acres on Sugarbrook Road, Plainfield. So it sounds like the big acreage pieces are Sterling Road, Sterling Hill Road. And then some smaller acreages.
Is it like where a farm is or something?
The property in Plainfield is owned by Bellamans. The property in Sterling is owned by Charles Corson. So I don't know who, yeah, who know that guy? There will be additional presentations.
Oh, yeah,
to the board
this is
before-
just an initial. Yeah. Okay, so I'm sure we'll be seeing more of that in the future, but there's nothing for us to act on that. That's the only correspondence, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so we'll move on. Unfinished business. Special permit, earth excavation 0, Stainfield Pike, Mr. Charles Corson. And we have Mr. Blanchett, so. What do you do? Oh, looks like there's some-
He unmuted himself. Okay.
Okay, good. Okay, where do we want to start? We've got.
For the record, Mr. Chairman, Jim Larkin again, consulting town planner. I had, since the last meeting, we had discussed, possible conditions for the application.
Right.
I did draft some possible conditions based on the first letter, because I think the concern was, including some of the, I guess some of the concerns of town engineering expressed within the first review, within the overall conditions, even though they may have been addressed in the plan that was submitted after the public hearing. So what I have presented for you for discussion purposes anyway includes some conditions that encompass some of those aspects as well. Also included within that document is, because this is a special permit application, your regulations require you to address, I believe it's 6 standards.
Right.
Under section D, and that the commission should at least make a finding that the application is generally in compliance with those 6 conditions or those 6 standards as well. Should you choose to make a motion for approval and also make any conditions on that. I also did include a copy of this to the applicant and to the applicant's engineer for their review to see if there was anything, I guess, glaringly out of sorts or that was of any major concerns. There are a few in there that you may choose to have some other deeper discussions on. But I guess that's the purpose of your deliberation.
Right, so let's go to Mr. Blanchett. You've read this list that Mr. Larkin has put together?
Yes, sir. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, very loudly.
Okay, I'll try to be quieter. Yes, I've read it. I don't have a copy in front of me at this time. Again, I'm on vacation. I apologize. I
Yes.
cannot be there in person.
No, we understand, not a problem. I think these conditions are not, they're more addressing the difference in the first set of plans that you submitted versus the second set of plans, which, like Mr. Larkin said, addresses most of these items, but we have to put them into the record as conditions because of the public hearing legality of the situation.
Exactly. I think Mr. Larkin did a terrific job. If you recall at the previous meeting, we basically said we need more time to refine the conditions of approval. So we asked for an extension for another month. I think Mr. Larkin has done a terrific job summarizing and writing out those conditions of approval. I don't have any major objections. The only other thing I'll point out is that since the previous meeting, we did get an approval letter from DOT, which I see Mr. Larkin has included in the agenda documents. And so that's pretty much it. I'd be happy to answer any questions or go through anything line by line, but yeah.
Okay, so that's good that you got that DOT, that letter from DOT. We will still read this in, I think, as a condition, and then you've accomplished it already, so that'll just be a check mark. Jim, do you agree? That would be.
Yes, because essentially what the approval letter was, it's like a de facto approval letter because it's a disapproval letter because he doesn't yet have approval from he doesn't have local approval.
Right,
So without local approval, he cannot get final approval.
right.
But it does state that they are essentially find that the plan is
Yeah, so they're just waiting for us to approve
Right.
and then they will sign off on it, so, yeah, the card has to come before the others. Okay. Okay, so for commission members, we have to review this application and make a decision, and our decision has to be based on our regulations, of course, like every decision. So Jim has laid out, what our items of consideration are. And he's even nicely numbered them for us. So John, do you have a copy of this?
I do.
Oh, okay, good. Number one was traffic and access. Traffic generated by the proposed use shall not create significant adverse impacts or congestion to roadways providing access to the property. As Mr. Corson described, the operations here, none of that sounds to me like congestion or adverse traffic. If anybody feels different, just speak up, and I'll quickly just run through each of these. So just speak up.
You said you were like trucks per day was gonna be like maybe a truck per day.
Well, usually, like, even out of my quarry and, the other quarry that I have, I'm lucky if I take 2 trucks a day out of it.
Okay. I was just trying to remember what you said.
Yeah, and most, on a really good day right now, because I don't have the crew like I used to, or, it may be 4 trucks a day, so it's not a lot.
And if you ran, just by my math, if you did 4 trucks a day, you would quickly run through the entire cut. Quite quickly. It wouldn't.
I think it'd take a little while.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, it'd take a little while.
Okay, all right. I mean, still, to me, that's below our standard for any type of excavation. This is an excavation permit. So I don't see that as a problem. We didn't have any public comment regarding traffic and the concern. The only question was something about the condition of the road. It's a state road, it's not even town maintained, so. That was the only comment from the public that I recall. Item number 2, surface and groundwater protection. The proposed use shall not pose a significant risk or degradation of surface waters, including inland wetlands or groundwater. This application is coming down to a pretty even cut. There is a stream below or a water course below. But just how I see this set up, according to the drawings, it doesn't look like your typical erosion runoff situation is solid rock. We tend to silt or wash downhill, and there's proper erosion control in place, so I don't see an issue with that either. Water supply, the applicant must demonstrate that the available water supply is adequate to serve both the need for potable water and the need for fire protection. Applicant must provide evidence having submitted proposed water supply to Director of Health, Fire Marshal, other officials having jurisdiction. Surface removal of rock. Yeah, no. See it impacting any type of water supply. There are some neighboring houses nearby, they're not super close, but they're not super far either. I don't know if there are any verbal concerns about water supply issues. Architecture, historic preservation, site design, and landscape preservation. I'm not even going to read this because there's no structures being proposed. It's only earth excavation, so there's no architecture or historic preservation. Landscaping and screening. All parking, service, storage areas, including dumpsters, should be reasonably screened by landscaping and our fences and walls, and it goes on. I'm not gonna read the whole thing, but again, there's no structure, so there's really nothing to screen. There'll be an operation that's basically temporary in nature. It's not a permanent building. It's just an excavation, with some machinery, but then when the excavation is done, I assume the machinery goes on to the next job. So I'm not concerned about either. Lighting, no site feature activity shall create glare or illumination that extends beyond a site's property lines. If there's any lighting, it'll be like a temporary light tower if you're working at night or something. Nope, not doing that, so, okay.
We don't run the quarries at night.
Yeah,
It's too dangerous.
so, yeah, right, it's a safety thing, for sure. Okay, so those are our discussion items. I'm not seeing anything that would cause it in our.
Very good.
So moving on, if we have a motion to approve, Jim has drafted a very nice set of conditions that we would need to include. Many of them are simply because of the difference between the first set of drawings submitted and the second set, which was after the public hearing closed. So I'll just go through these very, very quickly, because we will have to read this in as part of the motion, so. Get ready, Steve.
The whole thing's have to be running.
Unless you can pass this off on one of the jobs. So number one would be evidence of a Connecticut deep industrial stormwater permit to be submitted prior to the start of excavation, or a letter from DEEP indicating that a stormwater permit is not required. And Mr. Blanchett, please jump in if you have any additional comment on these as we go through them.
Yes, sir.
Number two, a copy of Connecticut DOT encroachment permit to provide with the town and certificate by the design engineer that is completed prior to excavation on site. Sounds like that may already be set up to be put in place. Three, erosion and sedimentation bond in the amount of $50,000. Parentheses, $45,000 be provided in the form of a letter or credit or commercial surety in form acceptable to the town treasurer and the town attorney, and $5,000 in cash. I believe this is on here only because of the difference in the first round of information versus the second in regards to the public hearing. And I think we agreed on this at the last meeting, so that should be acceptable. Number four, abandoned excavator is to be removed and any damage caused by fluid leaks dealt with appropriately. My suggestion would be to adjust this to excavator on site is to be removed after reclamation is complete and any damage caused by fluid leaks dealt with appropriately. That would just be my suggestion because as Mr. Corson explained, when Matt Maynard, our town engineer, went to look at the property, he assumed it was an abandoned excavator, but it's actually an operational machine and it is not abandoned and derelict, and therefore I don't see a reason why we would make them remove it early, just when you're done. Maybe deal with it then, when you're done with the.
Oh, I'm done, I'll pull it out, that's for sure.
Yeah, okay. So, so I would say just make that simple adjustment.
You know, my father had gotten sick and I didn't know the machine was there.
Yeah,
So when he got sick, you know,
Yeah.
I'm still picking up the pieces of everything, so.
Still has
I'm not
value.
sure What's that?
Still has value.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah, the machine still runs. I send my son over there at least two or three times a year, to start it up, make sure everything's fine with it, but last time I was over there, the kid smashed all the windows out of it, so it's like, there goes, $1,500, $2,000 to put the windows back. It's a viable machine, but
Yeah, so I just suggest just removing the term abandoned, excavator on site to be removed after reclamation is complete. And then, yeah, we're not even setting a date on that, it's just,
Yeah.
Number 5, existing limits of the service, we updated as to the plans, that was just a difference between the two sets. Stockpiles to be located on the plan, again, that was different between the two sets. Angles and distances pertaining to the subject property be added per survey standard recited. Again, that's part of that same deal. Detailed proposed parking pad to be added to the site plan. It's not necessarily a parking pad, but we just state that on the plan, which is actually, they may have already been done. It's really more just an access roadway, which I think is already there. Is it already there?
it's already there.
Yeah, it's
The
already.
roadway's already there.
15-inch culvert to be located at the low point, approximately 100 feet. That's already on the plan, I believe. Yep.
Yes, sir.
Section 6.03.E.7, location of 6 Partridge Place be added to the plans. Again, I believe that's already been done. Section 6.03E.7.B, cross sections with before and after elevations of all proposed excavation activities should be submitted and reviewed by the town's engineer. Proposed volume to be excavated should be calculated and reported on the plan set. That was done. Hours of operation, that was reviewed at last month's meeting and is just here for official purposes. 13, professionally prepared written report to be provided per section 6.03.E.2 outlining needs and impact for existing surface water flows, water supply wells, seasonal groundwater level tables, neighboring properties, along with the necessary precautions to be taken to avoid any adverse impacts. Number 14, copies of all permits to the fire marshal for blasting to be provided to the CEO prior to activity. So Jim and I discussed this earlier today. This isn't saying that there has to be, we're not looking for a specific permit for blasting. We're just saying if there's a permit for blasting, just copy the CEO so that we see it, that's all. We're not suggesting that there has to be a specific permit for that activity. We're just saying if there is one, we want to copy that. Blasting presents its own set of permitting and regulations that have nothing to do with us. Signature block for the chairman or secretary to be corrected with a space for an expiration date for the permit and signature block to verify that the town engineer has reviewed the plans. I believe that's already been done. Restoration of soil to include a depth not less than 4 inches of topsoil alone with a suitable underlying subsoil layer of 8 inches shall be retained on the parcel and spread over the entire disturbed area. Just a reclamation note basically. Section 7.05.C.3, the current deep NVDB mapping dated June 2025 to be added to the plans and included in submission to Connecticut Deep Stormwater Permit. That may have already been done too, I'm not sure. So those will be our conditions. And we're good with all those, Mr. Blanchett, just for final time?
Yes.
Okay.
If I may, have a suggestion, please. As you indicated, most of these conditions of approval have already been incorporated into the site plans. What the commission might consider is before I file a Mylar, just have town engineering review it one last time. Make sure I didn't forget anything. This is
Okay.
a lot of conditions of approval.
Yes.
A typical project
Yes.
has 1 or 2. It's a lot of conditions, and I could have forgot something. And so as just one other condition, maybe have Mr. Larkin or town engineering review the Mylars before they're filed, just to protect everyone.
What's the best way to go about that, Jim?
Well, normally the engineering, because there's a signature block for town engineering, they will normally review and be the first one to sign before anyone else signs.
Right. So that built in,
Um,
so that request is basically built into the process already.
What would make sense to me more is before you print out a Mylar,
We would need a copy of this to go to Matt Maynard to include with his final review and signature. But yeah, maybe, like you're saying, maybe a digital paper copy.
you may want a
First.
paper, right? You may want a paper review prior to printing the Mylar.
Yeah, let's do that. That way the signature on the final one isn't the review and then you find something missing.
Yeah, I
Exactly.
disagree.
Yes, with how many conditions of approval there are, just to make sure everyone's protected, covered, nothing's forgotten. I think it would be great if town engineering had, one final look at this before anything's recorded.
I see no problem in that. Who gets assigned that job? To just coordinate and send this current file. Because what will happen here, this will be reviewed by Mr. Blanchett, make sure everything is correct, then send, this conditional approval to engineering with that current set of plans, and then that back and forth before the Mylars are sent.
Or the Mylars are filed. Or would it be, so is this happening? Well, you have to,
I already know where you're going with this. If there's a change, then what happens?
well, that's just it. You have to approve tonight
The drawings, yeah.
the drawings. So are you making this like as your last condition? Like condition number 8?
Should we take a
Final.
5-minute recess or 1-minute recess to see what that can help?
See what?
Let's just take a 1-minute recess to see if somebody's. That office is open, that's why I was.
Okay, thank you.
And a delivery next door. That office is open, I didn't want somebody wandering in there. The delivery? Okay. Okay. Okay, yeah, because if something changes on the plan, then what? No, because we have to approve the plan as it sits.
Well, it depends. If it's just something on the paper, if it's a condition that wasn't, if we already approved it, it's a condition that wasn't on the plan, then they would just fix the condition before they do the Mylar.
Right. So
Exactly. Yeah. Basically, if I forget, if I misunderstand something,
Correct.
So it would be totally fine. Okay.
Right.
It would be the same as we do other things,
Yeah.
except there's more stuff here.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, so there shouldn't be any issue. We should be able to just have Matt Maynard double check it against the conditions, make sure everything's on there. And if it's not, then it just needs to be updated per the conditions.
exactly.
So is there going to be an 18th condition?
I don't think there needs to be. I think it's gonna go through that process anyway. It's just a matter of,
Right, because usually he'll review, as long as he gets a copy of the conditions, he would review the conditions.
how does Matt receive drawings? Do they come directly from Mr. Blanchett's office?
Either through him or through me.
Or do they go through you or, ZEO?
Like if you're approving, if we're gonna go by the approved drawings, I have January 5th drawings will be the last copies, because you're not gonna be changing anything. So it would be that set and the conditions that we have
So we basically already
currently.
have it, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So I would just send that along with the approval with those conditions
Yeah, and if
and
Matt
ask
says,
for Matt to read.
Matt says, yep, go, then we'll advise forward.
Right, these were the
My-
conditions
filing
that
my-
were put.
Okay. Okay, all right, so that's what we do. So we're not gonna add that as a condition, it's just gonna be part of the process. And, somebody will advise Mr. Blanchett when that review is complete, and if it's okay, and then he can go ahead and file the Mylar.
Perfect.
Because in the past, that's how it's always been anyhow.
Yeah,
You know, the engineer would relook at everything and before he signs off on it, in case it was missed. So that's just normal procedure.
yeah. So we won't need to add anything, it's built in the process, and,
But at this point, it's all okay with us at this point.
yeah, I mean, we didn't have any objection to any, you know, of our consideration items, and, yeah, and we, you know.
Well, not really add, just clarify.
Correct. Yep. Yep. I mean, there was some procedural things that had to be added, like signature title block.
But that's been
or,
done,
you know,
yeah.
Correct, it's been updated, but we have to say it here.
Right.
Because of when the public hearing closed versus when that was added to the drawings, because we're not approving the first set of drawings, we're approving the last set of drawings. The last set of drawings wasn't available at the public hearing, so. So we have to request it now as a condition, even though it's already been done, and many of these items are falling into that category.
We're all fine to it at this point.
Yes. Yes. Does anyone else have anything else to add? I don't think Mr. Blanchett has anything else to add, but we'll give him the opportunity.
I'm all set. Thank you.
Okay. So what would you like to do? Do we have a motion?
I'm gonna read these 2 pages exactly as they are, except for number 4, we made a minor change to. Is that what the motion is
correct.
going to be?
Correct.
I'll make a motion. Move that the Sterling Planning and Zoning Commission approve the special permit and site plan application of Charles Corson, received 9/15/25, for an excavation quarry permit for property located on Plainfield Pike, map 3830, block 27, lot 15. In accordance with the plans on file as part of the application, last amended to January 5th, 2026, and presented to the commission as part of the application and public hearing process, and in accordance with the reports and detailed information and representations of the applicant filed as part of the application and public hearing process, and in compliance with the following conditions. Evidence of a Connecticut DEEP industrial stormwater permit to be submitted prior to the start of excavation, or a letter from DEP indicating that a stormwater permit is not required. That was number 1. Number 2, a copy of Connecticut DOT encroachment permit to be provided to the town, and certification by the design engineer they have been completed prior to excavation on site. Number 3, erosion and sedimentation bond in the amount of $50,000, in parentheses $45,000, be provided in the form of a letter of credit, commercial surety in a form acceptable to the town treasurer and town attorney, and $5,000 cash deposit. Number 4, excavator is to be removed after reclamation is complete and any damage caused by fluid leaks dealt with appropriately. Number 5, existing limits of disturbance to be updated and added to the plan. 6, all existing stockpiles to be located on the plan and preserved for site restoration efforts. 7, all angles and distances pertaining to the subject property to be added per survey standard recited. 2 copies of signed plans to be provided with final Mylars. 8, detail of proposed parking pad to be added to the plan sets. 9, 15-inch culvert to be located at the low point approximately 100 feet southerly of Plainfield Pike. 10, section 6.03.E.7, location of 6 Partridge Place to be added to the plans. 11, section 6.03.E.7.b, cross sections with before and after elevations of all proposed excavation activities shall be submitted and reviewed by the town's engineer. The proposed volume to be excavated shall be calculated and reported on the plan set. 12. Hours of operation shall be limited to the Monday, Friday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., and Saturday, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. in order to avoid nuisance to residents of the neighborhood. No excavation operation shall be permitted on Sundays or federally recognized holidays. 13. Professionally prepared written report to be provided for section 6.03.E.2, outlining the need for and the impact on the existing surface water flows, water supply wells, seasonal groundwater table levels, and neighboring properties, along with the necessary precautions to be taken to avoid any adverse impacts. 14. Copies of all permits to fire marshal for blasting to be provided to the ZEO prior to activity. 15. Signature block for the chairman or secretary to be corrected with space for an expiration date for the permit and a signature block to verify that the town engineer has reviewed the final plan and determined that it conforms to the approval conditions. 16. Restoration of soil to include a depth of not less than 4 inches of topsoil or loam with a suitable underlying subsoil layer of 8 inches shall be retained on the parcel and spread over the entire disturbed area. 17. Section 7.05.C.3. The current DEP NDDP mapping dated June 2025 to be added to the plans and included in submission to Connecticut DEP stormwater permitting.
Do we have a second? Good second. All those in favor? Motion passes. Thank you for your patience through this whole process. It was a long one. Thank you for your
All right.
work through all this. We appreciate your feedback and getting us information when we requested it.
All right. Thank you for your time, everyone, especially Jim Larkin. I know you worked very hard on this. I appreciate all your assistance. And I look forward to seeing you at the next project.
Okay, enjoy the rest of your vacation.
Will do. Take care.
You didn't invite me,
Yeah.
You have this in a Word file you can send.
There you go.
I did, but I don't.
You don't need to retype it. Jim has already typed it once.
Do we need to comment on the special permit standard? We did that already. That's their own.
Yes, we broke down, we broke down each of them just as discussion items, yeah. We didn't find any, issues within that list that would go towards a denial. So,
Thank you.
okay, that one's on file. Next item. 25-2SA, Judith Iafredi, 80 Porter Pond Road, Moose Up, which is actually Sterling, Connecticut, 1 lot lease subdivision. We're ready for you.
Okay, so I'm here today to submit a waiver for the section that the commission required in finalizing our plans. I do have said plans that are here and signed but cannot be filed. He also has them. I don't know if you're interested in seeing those.
Yes, let's take a quick look at just one. What do we have?
There's a copy
There's a
right
copy
there on
right
the top.
there, right?
Yeah, and I have other copies. You want to spread them out? You need one.
So this was the original application from 2023. The original application from 2023 left the party and is not able to update the necessary items that they have received, ZBA variance for. So this is the new plan, which meets the current conditions, but it doesn't have all of the items necessary to be a official signed Mylar for record. So we're kind of dealing with that, and the way we're going to try and get through this is to provide, to grant some waivers. Which you have a letter with
I have a letter
a
with
list
The
of,
actual waivers.
right, the waiver that she is requesting. Which would allow us to use this current plan set that can be signed by the engineer as the official Mylar. Jim, did I get that? Did I say that clearly enough?
Yeah, so
It's a
essentially,
complicated situation, but it's not that complicated actually. Right.
yeah, so essentially the original plan set, they couldn't meet the buildable polygon. So they went to ZBA. I think the first time around, for those who were here, they came with a text amendment to the board for a change in the regulations that did not get approved. So that application that is before you with those plans were withdrawn at the time. So the application never actually got went forward. So
Yeah, we've never approved or denied. it.
right, denied that application for subdivision. What got denied was a text amendment that would have allowed for the polygon or a change in the polygon shape for within the zoning regs and within the subdivision regulations. So what they and I think since then the Iafrades had spoken with both me and with the zoning enforcement officer, and that's when they decided to go forward with the ZBA application seeking a variance. So they did receive the variance, and I think the variance there is a copy in the file, and the variance is, I think it's up to a certain amount of feet they were only allowed to utilize, so.
Okay.
And I believe the CLA plans do reference on them the variance. Within the notes, it's either on sheet 1 or sheet 2.
Oh, here's variance reference, yep. Volume 180, page 394, relief from Sterling zoning regulations, section 4.02.c, shape and location of minimum buildable area.
And so specifically what you would be looking at is 12.6 says waivers may be granted by the commission in the following cases. Upon written request by the applicant and by a 3/4 vote of all the members of the commission. And it would be under 12.6.3, the commission may waive the required submission of all or part of the subdivision plan requirements, section 5, in connection with any re-subdivision. And historically speaking, this is actually a re-subdivision of a re-subdivision. So this is the second time it's been re-subdivided, I guess. So it does qualify for one or any of those waivers under section 5. And I believe the ones that she is requesting, or the ones that I had suggested, are directly related more toward the construction aspect in regards to, one in particular was, for example, I believe it's the construction plans.
We'll probably go through each one of these,
Okay,
yeah, just for discussion. So maybe we'll just do that. we'll go through each one. You add.
And then
your-
determine whether or not
I'll
it's
introduce it,
applicable.
You can add your comment, and then we'll do a
Sure,
commentary, and then we can just go through them once. Does that make sense?
sure.
Okay, so we have two documents here. We have, a letter dated February 9th, 2026, from, from Mrs. Iafredi. And then we have, the one, from Jim Neathog, is that title block on the top? So waivers to be granted, the first one on the list is, let's see, if I see if I can match up here. Okay, so the first one is 5.3.2. A location map showing the location of the subdivision in relation to the existing roads. So in my analysis of this, we would grant a waiver for basically having a large or a large scale like locust map showing.
Right, it's not really, right, it's the location map is that map that's up in the top right-hand corner of your front page.
Right, so on the CLA drawing, it's just a simple.
It just says that it's at no scale.
Google Earth map, no scale, but on the previous drawings from Provost and Rivera, we do have a locust map, so we could grant a waiver for that because we have seen it, we understand where it is. We just aren't going to require the engineer to spend more time and money updating a drawing for something that we already have information for, basically, like a technicality.
Can I ask a question? Is that first map recorded anywhere, or is that?
I was just gonna get to that, because, no, it's fine, that's totally good, you just beat me to it, that's all. Because that drawing from Provost and Rivera will not be recorded.
Correct.
It will only be this new drawing from CLA that will be recorded, and we should keep that in mind through this entire list.
How do we keep the old one? Is there a way to keep that in the records?
So, we were misinformed, and we did file a MyLaw of that. We had it printed, and then we filed it.
Of the first one from Provost and Rivera.
Yeah, because it was a miscommunication, before we even got involved with Jim. And, we were told to file a MyLaw, so we had it printed as a MyLaw, and I know, and then we went in, and Heather is
But it was
not there.
never approved or denied, so how would there be a
That's
Mylar
what we were
filed?
told to do.
Never approved or
And
denied,
so
where would
it's-
that be?
It's filed, but it's
Was
not.
it filed as part of the ZBA application
That could be.
or part of, or like when you,
I don't remember, I don't have that receipt with me, but.
because when I went into the town clerk's, well, actually, I didn't look under your name. I looked under,
No, it was under our name.
right, I was searching under health because I was looking for all the older versions of the map.
Right.
I never searched
Right, because
under,
we had a discussion about how many lots were in the previous
Mhm.
subdivision or two.
So
Because
there's
we
no way
were
to
thinking
pull it.
about open space, but that, it doesn't, this doesn't apply to our current subdivision regulation. This applies to the previous one.
so
It
then,
was filed a month before we enacted our new updated subdivision regulations. Which are actually easier, but it doesn't matter because this is being transferred, which we'll get to later, for a family member, so open space doesn't apply in that situation.
So I didn't know how to pull it out of there once it was filed.
Oh, you don't, once it's filed, that's it, it's there forever.
you can void it. Technically,
Yeah.
technically, it's an illegal subdivision,
Why would you want to avoid it? So,
because it's illegal.
no, hang on a second. We have, the thing we're gonna file doesn't have all the information we need on it.
Mhm.
So we have all these waivers saying we don't need those, but all the things we would normally want are on that other one. That's already filed. It seems foolish to throw the old one away, right?
It's illegal
Right, but
because
legally
it
we can't.
was filed it has no approval that goes with it.
But,
And the date of it
but it wouldn't be.
basically
signed.
coincides, because the town clerk stamps it with a date
That makes it approved?
of it. No, it doesn't make it
Doesn't
approved.
make it anything.
It's just, right, you can file a map for anything. You can go in and draw whatever you want. The town clerk cannot deny, well, technically, I don't believe, technically, I don't know if the town clerk is supposed to
Except,
file a subdivision map that's not signed.
right.
There are no signatures of
That's
approval
why
on
we have
that
the signature
map.
block. Yeah. So so if I wanted to find that, I would need the name and the date, and I could go find that somewhere?
In theory, if you go search under their names, that map should pop up,
So if it is indeed filed.
if it is indeed filed.
So if we.
Like she should
I
have
have a
provided
receipt.
you with,
Yes, I have it, I just don't have it today.
with a,
So if we file the new one, the new one gets filed, so say that gets approved.
Right, so the CLA drawing gets filed.
Gets
as an
filed.
approval, Yeah,
So why can't it reference the other one that's filed as well?
I'm sorry.
So you have both milers there, shows all the information we need. Let's still go through this, but just seems foolish to throw the only
thing
one.
is, you filed a Mylar, but it's not a signed Mylar.
Doesn't matter, it's still filed.
maybe.
You don't have to say it's signed. You have, so Mike, before we started talking, my thought was, we do these waivers, and the only thing we're left with is this. And all the information we need is already on that other set of blueprints. And it seems really foolish to throw it away.
Do you set a precedent by doing that?
Yeah, but you can't,
You can't file an engineer's drawings who's not the engineer of record.
It's already filed.
Well, maybe, yeah, if
It's not
if that's
approved.
true,
The
yeah.
key is-
Yeah.
The thing is, it's filed, but it's not approved. It's just a,
Which is also
but
a
it's safe.
conundrum because if it's not approved, it therefore can't be filed, so.
But
how does
if I
that- we
took
don't know
that
what
one,
happens.
so you're telling me if I just physically walked the set of milers to this, to the town clerk and said, I want to file this, as it sits right now, it would get stamped and the same thing would happen.
Right? I've never tried that, I have no idea.
It sounds like it.
I mean, it sounds like that's what happened, but it doesn't make
But
sense.
the point
to me.
is, the milers are somewhere that, and I assume they're next door. They're just not an approved, they're just a set of prints. They're not approved or anything. They're just filed. So why can't the
Well,
new approval have,
There would be a record of this
Yeah.
as an application that was filed. Even though it was withdrawn, it should still be in a record somewhere.
you would think so.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
the only place I was able to find it was in a computer in the selectman's secretary's file. I could not find a physical copy of it.
Okay.
Well, there's no advantage of using the old one or the new one, no extra cost. It's just, more codification.
yes, for clarification.
The way I looked at it was that we are reviewing this drawing. We're not reviewing this drawing, but we know that as part of an approval, we know that the information exists, and we know that because we've seen that, we understand that this represents what that is, just not to the detail. It doesn't have the level of detail, but it represents what it is, so that we understand that if we make a motion to approve this,
There's no advantage of keeping the old one though, just approving the new one.
well, we can't keep that one with this set, we can only
Right,
use this set.
so disregard
And
that.
this is just like a reference.
The only thing the other one is good for is that it provides you, for example, the analysis plan. It just provides you the ability to say, yes, this is a buildable lot. This lot can be built upon. And then when someone they're filing a subdivision plan, all they're filing is actually the lot being cut out, not necessarily how the lot is going to be developed in the essence of So when they go and they have the, lot built on, it may not look like that one. They're gonna have to come and have whoever the son who is going to build on
Or
it,
family member.
right, or other family member,
He's gonna just.
will have to have a set of plans developed, unless he's gonna do exactly what is on that plan. And the zoning enforcement officer doesn't need necessarily a Mylar plan. In order for you, all he needs is a plan that has health department approval and the building official, which that has,
Right, so see, this plan.
In order
here's
to
the main difference.
get a zoning permit.
Here's the main difference that everyone can see visually. This plan has a location of a new construction residence, a septic system, a well location, within a buildable area that is outlined here, but didn't comply at that time. Since they've gotten the variance, this plan is showing the buildable area that now is acceptable,
And that footprint.
with ZBA approval, but it doesn't have,
But it's the same footprint.
correct. It
Has
doesn't,
more
it doesn't
information.
have, right, this doesn't have a well location, septic system location, or a house, or a house location or layout. So that would have to be part of a building permit application, rather than us approving like this whole thing as a subdivision and a plot plan. This will just be a re-subdivision consideration, and then the remaining information will be part of a building permit application, which they will have to
That will
have
suffice.
health department, and it'll have to have a drawing or something for a septic
It's no
system.
extra cost to them, though, for them to provide that information.
Well, there would be engineers or designers' costs, with whatever those plans are.
Yeah, so we reduce our cost
Right,
by not doing that building permit now. We
Right.
left that for my son to do.
Okay.
So we really, we just kind of just balanced the cost out. We took care of the
Level
basics.
one, okay, then move on to level two, once it's.
Once and he'll absorb that cost.
right,
So
so
that
when,
being said, which one works best?
oh, you have to use this one. Yes, we have to use this one, but the bottom line is, the buildable area is still the same.
Say,
Just now
More detail.
now it's approved with a variance, or it's not approved, now it is able to be approved with the variance. Whereas before it wasn't.
Right.
And rather than have the new engineer, it was nice to have this engineer finish the job but left, and he left it hanging. So rather than say that this new engineer put all this information back on here, which he would have to all redo if he doesn't have his numbers or his it is left that spot. So that's
we're looking at,
basically what we're looking at.
they're not ready to build that.
That's the major difference.
So this is the one we're looking at, okay, because they're not ready to build yet. This needs to be okay, like you said, when they're ready to do what they have to do, then they go forward with all the permits they may need.
Correct.
That's correct.
Can I see it? Yes.
If you didn't have that first set of plans, would you approve it with that?
You would, well,
There would be a couple of things. There would be a couple of things that come into play. One of them, for example, would be regards to section 5.7.2 drainage easements. So there is an existing drainage easement that is shown on this plan. And I don't believe it's shown on this plan, but it exists, and it exists outside of this world. It's not only on this set of plans, it does exist on other, drawings in
And that's
records.
prices.
I have a suggestion.
Yes,
So right on the top of the sheet here, it says map references. That's number one, and it lists out that right there. And I would just put like at the end of the reference, something like see for additional information, or that it was filed on a certain date. Somebody's looking at this, they know where to find that, and that has additional information on it. We didn't approve that, but it's already referenced on it.
So the difference between the engineer putting that reference on there.
We already did.
And us,
We mean us. We can't change that.
we basically don't, Jim said he couldn't find this drawing in the records. So
Maybe it's perhaps.
he has a copy of it that he referenced, but that doesn't mean that we can reference it.
But it's already on here. It's already referenced on this thing.
But as far as town records go, it's not able to be referenced because
What happens to all these papers, like, when we're all done, what kind of things are filed besides the Mylars?
this gets
With the town
filed.
clerk,
That somebody can find, what does?
The Mylar and
The
the
Mylars.
Mylar and the deed is the only thing that will be filed with the town clerk.
So this.
The rest of everything else goes into a file that goes into the land use office with the re-subdivision application.
And how, is that something,
Those are usually kept for 10 years,
and then they just get thrown away? Okay.
unless they scan them. Some towns will scan them and keep them as a digital archive, but I don't believe you're required to keep them any longer than 10 years. It may be 15, I'm not sure off the top of my head, but
So basically, this is a non-permanent reference for town use. Or this
For our
engineer's,
use, I guess.
right, so for this engineer's use, yes, he can reference this drawing, but,
You have no way to keep that.
right.
So
but
you're
for
saying we
town-
have
for
no
town
way,
records.
we have no way to file that or keep it,
Right.
unless it's
Correct.
in where do the Mylars kept?
in the town clerk's vault.
Town clerk, yeah, in the vault.
So there's like,
Well, they have the actual Mylar is kept in the town clerk's vault. They're also required to keep a digital version in a off-site kind of
Cloud storage.
world, cloud storage, in case the vault ever burns down or something.
so if you went into the vault, you should be able to find that.
If that actually got filed under their name, yes, probably.
Do you remember what time frame it was
I was
when you
just
recorded?
asking
Was
it?
that for the variance?
I think it was right
So it
after
was this past
the
year.
variance, and
Oh,
then
it's
they
recent.
told us.
Yeah. That's what I wanted to know. I didn't know if it was 2 years ago, if it was
No.
just
No,
If it's
recent.
recent, that might help.
So like
And I have a
April.
receipt that gives you the exact date and the
Okay.
number, I just don't have it with me, I can actually
So
email
the
it to you.
public hearing was April and May. So of 25.
Yeah.
So it's pretty recent.
Oh, the ZBA public. Yeah, yeah.
It was April.
Oh, yes.
Because I wonder if it was filed along, because you have to file your approval with the variance. Was it filed along with the approval?
I did file the approval.
Right.
So the Provost and Rivera drawing was used for the variance?
As part of the public hearing?
The CLA drawing was used for the variance.
I don't think.
No, I think the old one was
I'm gonna say that we.
the original one.
Yeah, the Provost and Rivera,
So
and
that
then,
should be on record.
at that point, we hired CLA.
Yeah, so so that's probably why it's in the records for.
As
ZBA
part of it,
application,
as the
not as a
ZBA.
planning and zoning application. So maybe it is in, so it should be in records then. If it's kept as a ZBA application. But that still doesn't make it a Mylar in the vault.
It's not a Mylar, an approved lot. But it's a map.
I don't know, it's kind of.
It's a blueprint.
It's a map.
The
Someone gave
difficult
us
part
more
is that
information.
this entire review
Um,
process is all technicality, there's literally no substance to it, it's all
I mean, if you-
technicality.
Aren't most of these things we're talking about have to do with the construction part of it anyway? Aren't we just talking, we're just talking about subdivision?
Essentially, what you're looking at is you're looking, if you look at your regulations, you're looking at filing the record subdivision map, which is section 5.3.
Right.
So the record subdivision map is different than the 5.4, which is property ownership information, development proposal as follows, Then 5.5, which is street improvements. And then 5.6, which is site analysis plan.
So we're not really even, are we concerned about all that? I mean, we're just doing the subdivision, not, I mean, that'll be dealt with when they do a building permit. That's correct.
That's my guess, yeah.
Right, so,
So we can just look at it under 5.3. Well, I mean,
5.8 is construction plans.
yeah, I mean, right, and we could just issue waivers for that. So,
right.
so we'll review it under 5.3, and we have a couple things to look at, but then we can go and just do waivers for 5.6, 7, 8, 9, 6.0, 8.4, 8.4.1. We can do waivers for all those. So that's really what we're doing here. There's the first time we reviewed this, and we knew that we couldn't approve it because it didn't meet the buildable area requirement. So that's when we recommended that we withdrawn and go for the, there was two options, text amendment or variance, so they ended up getting the variance. So we basically don't have anything to deny here. As I see it, we only had that one item and they've dealt with that another way. So this is only technicalities. This is how do we write a motion to approve and have it meet the technicalities of a subdivision or re-subdivision. That's all we're doing. So this is a legal process, unfortunately. So what Jim has laid out for us as a way to write the motion to approve would be what he has listed here. And we can go through the item 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And he's drafted a description of verbiage for a waiver. Correct, Jim? I said that right?
Yes. And some of them you may not even need to waive because they just may not be applicable.
Right, so I read through them and I think that I would include all of them as Jim has written, because it just covers the bases so that something doesn't come up later that could cause a stumbling block. To the next round of permitting and applications that go through. So, I mean, it doesn't hurt to provide a waiver now, just so that it doesn't come back as an issue for them later. I'll go back to an example of 5.7 drainage easements. So there is a drainage easement noted on the Provost and Rivero set. And is it noted here? Yeah, it's noted on here also. And I think it's existing.
There are existing drainage easements. The only issue with the CLA set is that the note on it says that both of them are drainage easements in favor of the town of Sterling, and only one of them is in favor of the town of Sterling. The other one is between two adjacent property owners. So that note would have to be adjusted. That's all.
Okay. Yeah.
So there are things to the CLA set that need to be updated, even as a record, even to be filed as a Mylar.
Okay, so we could change that. We could do, instead of granting a waiver on the drainage easement, we could just do a condition that.
Well, that could just be a condition. You could still, I would still do the waiver because technically, it's not a drainage, it's more of a plan issue. So it's a note on the plan that's an issue.
Correct.
It's not the fact that there's any new drainage easement or anything like that.
Right.
Because if you technically, that section of the regulations 5.4 also triggers sign off by town engineering of the plans, because drainage easement would be considered a public improvement, which means that you would need engineering review of the plans, because it's something that's drainage, and it's also something that the town is taking responsibility for, which has already happened in the previous re-subdivision. So because it's already happened in the previous re-subdivision, I don't believe it's something being proposed in this re-subdivision. So that's why I would say that you could waive 5.4, I think it is, or with the public improvements, or
7.2
right, drainage easements, because it's, but they do still have to take care of that note, because you don't want a note floating around that says that it's in favor of
So
the
we
town
should-
when it's
we
not.
should add,
So it just needs to be updated to match the note on the Heller plan.
oh, you do have it as the last item on the list.
Right, I just have it as a comment kind of thing at the end, that these are things that need to be changed on the plans.
So we would need to make that a condition. Oh, there's two items there. So at the very end of Jim's list, number 9, says comment, drainage easement on sheet 1 of CLA plan is mislabeled, so. So the condition of approval would be number 1. Drainage easement on, let's see which way is north, on the budding property line to the south should be relabeled in favor of Christopher Knight and Jennifer Knight. Assuming they're still the property owner. I don't know if they're still the property owner though, because according to the CLA plan, it might be a different name.
But does the easement change?
No, the easement wouldn't change, it just wouldn't be this name, it would be the current owner's name. I believe,
Nothing's changed, right?
well, it looks like it might be a different property owner from this plan, but this plan. Buying property.
The actual easement doesn't say the property owners, the easement actually says lots.
Yeah,
So it
yeah,
says lot
exactly. That
A,
was
lot
better, yeah.
whatever.
That was,
So
that's
what
better,
they should
so I may
do
never
is they
change
should,
it. So we could just say it needs to be corrected.
I see what you're doing there.
Yes, please. So what we're looking at is this drainage easement right here, just this little tiny square right here in the corner, there's one here, which is a drainage easement in favor of the town of Sterling, because it's on the town road. So all it's saying is that should a catch basin or something need to be built here, the town has the right to use that space to build that. And then there's another one here, which CLA has listed as in favor of the town of Sterling, but it's not in favor of the town of Sterling. This is the original one. And it would be in favor of this property. So if this property owner needed to some type of drainage structure, they would be allowed to come on your property. And that's been there, it's not the, that was part of the original subdivision.
So Jennifer and, Christopher own one lot, and then Jennifer herself owns the one next to it. Is that what you was, is that what?
Yeah, well, on this plan, it shows another name here, 138 Porter Pond
yeah,
Road,
it's these
Richards.
two lots.
Yeah, and this, and they,
Yeah, it's right here.
Yeah, but it's, this is a.
Oh, yeah, that's right, we got the little arrow spot, that's right.
That's what it is. Okay, that's why. That's why. I
Because
forgot.
this
This is
one's
that,
they own
that
both
crazy
lots,
super
but
narrow
there's only a house on this lot.
Yeah, and he set it up with these two side by side narrow winding strips to get back. That's right, I forgot about that. So this is,
That's a driveway.
this piece right here is part of this parcel, and then there's another parcel here that has another narrow strip that comes down and does this.
They share the driveway.
And there is a
They
driveway,
do, but there's room for two separate driveways.
right, there's a driveway agreement on file on the land records that basically says that if one, right, it's a shared driveway agreement.
I think he's got 40 acres, probably, but.
So that was double wide.
Very
driveway.
complicated.
If it's double wide driveway, don't know.
Yeah, it's a typical data.
There's a mill there, I think, in the back there.
But the file has a copy of each easement, and it's by lot as opposed to by person. So basically, the condition can just say that the note,
Drainage easement for southerly.
alright, corrected.
Yeah, the lumberyard pleasant. Correct. Correct lot number. Okay, and then number two. Two would be signature block. Should we add it for? For IWCC chair.
WWC.
IWWC, sorry. Water Courses Commission. Okay. Okay, so we just want to run through these waivers. We'll go back to the first one, 5.3.2, location map showing the location of the subdivision in relation to existing roads in the town on a scale of 1 to 1,000. So this plan has the location map. This one just has a simple Google map that doesn't really show.
And if he has to amend
that level.
something on the plan, amending that map wouldn't be probably that big of a deal for them either. He has to amend a note already. So whether you waive it or whether he amends it is,
Well,
I mean, it's up to the board, but
What does he have to do to amend it?
instead of just copy clipping a map, you would have to have some sort of find some sort of property line information to be able to put a small location map on there. This was easy for him to do because he was the surveyor and the owner, and he had all these properties drawn. And so it was very easy for him to just pull from his file of drafting. Yeah, he owned the property and all the lots, so when he subdivided it, it was his property and he had all his drawing done.
I will tell you, having worked with CLA on a recent subdivision in Eastford, they basically just take a snapshot of the
GIS,
GIS.
yeah, and maybe that would suffice. Because GIS isn't 100% accurate, but it's a lot better than.
It just gives you, right, and it's not that it has to be at least 1 in 1,000, doesn't have to be exactly 1 in 1,000. But
Right.
not to scale.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's nothing even to read on it, so maybe we just make that a condition, and this first one becomes a condition rather than, that's a very,
Or you can just ignore the fact that it's not to scale.
I don't really care that it's to scale, I only care that you can kind of see where the property is located and what's around it.
And like I said, it was easy for him because he had all the actual drafting files, the CAD files. And CLA does not, but I would accept a GIS. I mean, it's standard operating procedure to have a locus map on a site plan. So we could just have him have that. I mean, he has to fix this easement anyway. If he uses the GIS map, that would be an easy way out. It wouldn't be adding to easement state. And this is way too simple for the amount of time we spent talking about.
Okay, so you've got condition number 1 is drainage easement on abutting property to the southerly location to be corrected with correct lot number. And then the second condition was the signature lot should be added for inland wetland water courses chair.
Yeah.
So this is the third condition.
Third could be, location map. Updated per section 5.3.2. No, it's just,
Oh, it's just,
yeah, okay, just 5.3.2. Okay, so that would take that off our waiver list. Now, the next item, item number 2 would be a waiver for each proposed lot, the proposed septic beach field system and reserve field shall be not showing distances of adjacent pieces of land, including distances. Again, this was on the Provost and Rivero, but we could grant a waiver to just say, okay, that'll be done at the time of building permitting. There's no building proposed at this time. It's simply the re-subdivision, that's it. So we could easily do a waiver for that. And Jim, if you have any comment, just add it at this, as we go through each one. Number 3, site analysis plan. The site analysis plan that should be submitted for each application, showing the following information on maps drawn to a scale and the purposes of site analysis plans to enable the commission to evaluate the impact of the proposed subdivision on the land that is subject to the application on neighboring parcels and is subject to the application. So this is basically for the commission to understand what is nearby. And we can reference this as part of that consideration.
Taking out the
So
city.
even though this isn't going into the, let's just assume this isn't going
Use
into
this
the
as a
record.
reference to make our
We
decision.
can use it as a reference to make our decision, yes. We can use that as a tool for this purpose. So if there's any concern about what the neighboring property is, and there could be a concern because, you know, these are some very oddly shaped lots to get access to 2 properties in the back, which are currently serving as 1 property, but they could be 2, and there is a driveway agreement in place, but there could be 2 driveways parallel at this long winding road, so like that could be something to consider. And it doesn't show up on here, but it does show up on this drawing. There was another plan at some point that showed the entire subdivision. I remember seeing that on an application somewhere. It might have been for the previous subdivision when David Hill did it originally, I don't remember. But there was another plan showing all the properties in line. And yeah, we did some crazy property lines in the parcels, but like I said, we can use this as a reference in our decision. So we could grant a waiver for that, basically, because it's only for our consideration, it's not for record. Number 4, when a proposed public street or drainage easement as part of the subdivision, a signature block entitled review by the town engineer with a designated place. So we're not. I was trying to not have this go to the town engineer because why go through the extra expense? It's just a re-subdivision of a previous subdivision, and there's no grading, drainage, septic, well, none of that is being considered at this time. So
Would the same block be on the original subdivision?
Yes,
So it's signed there, so why do we care?
it's signed there, we're just taking one of those parcels from that application and cutting that and, you know.
So it's
what we're
already
saying.
signed, why does it need to be on this one?
Yeah, so we can grant a waiver for it, yeah, and this is for our decision, we don't have to cite any other precedent or have any other information filed to grant this. So just like you're saying, John, we can say, yeah, we don't
It
need,
does need to be approved tree going.
we don't need to see a waiver for that, exactly. We've seen enough in the past and there'll be more in the future when, construction was actually proposed for the property, so. We could say it'll be dealt with at that point, we don't have to deal with it now. So we're trying to not, I was trying to not go through the additional expense and effort of having the town engineer review it and have him come back with a whole list of items
Absolutely.
for consideration. Because this is not a commercial property, there's just not the impact that we would see like on an excavation permit like we just reviewed, where there could be repercussions from stormwater runoff and things like that. It's just not that sensitive of a site. So this would be a waiver for the town engineer review block to sign off, because they're not reviewing it, so we're not gonna sign off. We can review it. So we can grant a waiver for that. Number 5, construction plans, construction plans for all proposed roads, drainage, and other, again, to be determined later. There's no construction presented right now. Erosion and sedimentation control plan, same thing. This is a lot line on paper essentially, and there's no dirt being moved on site, so therefore no sedimentation control plan. So
And grading,
there's nothing to review there.
and section 5.9 is on grading.
Oh, did I miss it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So those are almost the same thing. There's no grading, therefore there's no sedimentation and erosion control plan. At least there's no grading. Yeah, next one is, number 7, open space waiver. So, this is IFRD's letter. I think I saw this in here. Yeah, intended transfer of subdivision to family member, so open space wouldn't apply in that condition.
I would suggest still that you add the condition, to add that paragraph or
Yeah.
that language.
Yep, I was just going to get to that because I want everything to be clear and transparent that actually, let me just read this real quick. Okay, so let me just read this. So I think what we would do is consider another, let's see, it would be condition number 4. And the condition would read something like this, and this is for suggestion. The subdivision has been approved with an open space waiver solely because of section 8.25 of the Connecticut General Statutes, as incorporated in section 8.4.1 of the Sterling subdivision regulations. The statute provides that the open space requirements of this section shall not apply if the transfer of all land in a subdivision of less than 5 parcels are to a parent, child, brother, sister, grandparent, grandchild, aunt, uncle, or first cousin for no consideration. The regulation provides that if the Sterling Planning and Zoning Commission determines subsequent to the approval of the subdivision that such transfers were intended to be temporary or for the purpose of evading the requirements of section 8.04, the commission may, following a public hearing with notice, owing by certified mail to the violator, void in whole or in part any such subdivision approval and may cause notice thereof to be filed in the land records. So basically, if the re-subdivided parcel were to be sold to a non-family member, and it was deemed to be for the purpose that the requirements set in section 8.4 were being evaded, then this approval would be voided. And it would go back to being one parcel. So we could, that would be, I mean, it would be a condition that would support the, how do I want to say this? It would support the validation of the open space requirement and it being removed from the requirement for family transfer purposes. Because what would happen is if it's intended to be used for family, then it's not subject to the open space requirement. And then if it turns out that that wasn't the case, then it would basically be voided because then the open space requirement would have to be complied with.
What's that? Exactly.
Whether it's a purpose to, whether it was purposely evading the open space requirement, I'm not sure.
That's what I think that's what the public hearing would be for.
Yeah,
So in order, it doesn't automatically void, you essentially would have to hold it, you would have to notice a public hearing for that purpose. And then upon closing the public hearing, then you would have to make some kind of determination as to whether or not.
Board would,
What's that?
this board would determine.
Yes.
whether-
yeah.
That would only be in violation, correct?
Right, that would only be if for some reason they thought that it was, something was done in violation.
Yeah, like, for example, if you got your application and then put the property up for sale, and there was a for sale sign out front, and one of us drove by and said, really? We just approved it last week.
That's probably the only way without.
It doesn't seem like, you were very forthright with us. And then we'd say, okay, well, let's have a public hearing and see what the town thinks about it. And, and then we'd see what would happen there. Maybe nobody would show up and nobody would care, and we'd say, yeah, whatever, it's fine. And then it would go to a vote of the members and then. See
So
what
do you want
consensus
that,
is there.
do you want that on the plans itself?
No, that would be a condition of approval that would be on our side.
Okay,
But we want you to be aware of that.
yes. Yes.
Because that, knowing the outcome in that situation, may make you change your mind. I don't think it should, but
3 years later, I really want my son to live next door.
yeah,
That's all
I know. That was, and you've established that in the past 2 years with your first application, so that's
It's
why,
our intention.
yeah. Just, we have legalities that we have to
I get that.
comply with, so,
So good,
and it has to be fair to the next applicant who comes in
absolutely.
and faces a similar situation, so.
Well, it'd be up to the board, but I think in the last application, it was both noted on the plan and in a condition.
Was it noted on the plan?
On-
I remember it as a condition, right, because we just had another one that was similar to yours, and they had this included in theirs as a condition.
Because the other thing that it can be, I believe it can be durational.
I don't recall setting a time.
I don't think you did in the last one.
The duration of the meeting, if
10 years or
family
10
member
years.
didn't take,
Like,
Oh, you know
as long
what?
as the family member owns it for 10 years, after 10 years,
I don't remember
they
what the
sold it.
number was, we could look it up, I don't remember what the number was, but I do remember there being a time limit on it.
or
Okay.
20 years or something like that, you know what I mean?
they have to own it for a certain amount of time.
Right.
At which, if the house is built on it, you're not gonna remove the subdivision
Right,
at that
after
point.
that anyway, so.
Yeah. Once the house is
It is
built on.
waterfront property at this point. top light show.
Don't-
I don't think that's us. That's the assessor's job.
That's the joke, yeah.
Yes. I'll collect it if he says I don't need more money.
Okay, so number 4 will be a condition and it should read. Starting with the quotes where it says this subdivision. That makes sense? So number 4 will be. Number 4 will be 8.4.1. Oh, it's regarding open space, but the verbiage will be from his comment here, starting with this subdivision.
Those quotations.
I don't, yes, it does close the quotation. But-
There's, okay, so there's missing quotations closed.
But it would be that whole
That
piece,
whole
though.
piece, that's bold italics.
Is that correct, Jim? Is that what we did on the previous one?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's a long one, but I just read it and I didn't die, so.
Just the purpose in quotation, right?
No, starting with where the quotations start,
This.
which is this
Okay.
subdivision, and then just go all the way to the end,
To land records.
to land records. So that's number 4. And would we need to have that on the plan as well?
I know,
We did it on both, but.
I know Mike, that's what Mike suggested.
So we should be consistent, and he's adding a couple things here, it's a simple note.
It's a copy and paste
Yeah, it's a simple note.
on a note, so.
That should take a minute and a half. Okay, so. After reading this, it should say, this note shall be included. That's CLA.
We're reading it tonight.
I'm gonna try. If we can get a motion to approve.
I don't have all these notes off this.
You can take mine.
Okay.
Okay, and that is, oh, no, there's one more, monuments and pins. Lot corners shall be marked with iron or copper pins or with concrete monuments. It looks like CLA is proposing iron pins with cap.
They are, the issue
So,
is with the one line that they have an angle that doesn't have anything. They don't show anything on the map for a proposed
oh
pin
yeah,
on that one.
right,
And if you look at and I know there's gonna be one required at the angle. And I think there's gonna be one required along that 1,120 feet, because they usually require one by surveying standards. I don't think you can go that long without having a pin placed. I don't know, I'm not a surveyor, I don't know the exact distance, but I think there's probably one that's gonna be required to be put in there, whether it's.
so how do we wanna do that, because we can do it as it's on our list of waiver items, but is it a waiver item?
No, it's a condition that the other pins in the front. So the other thing, yeah.
Yeah, which would also have to be added in the field. Because if it's added on the plan, then it has to be added in the field, so that's a physical item.
The engineer said the monuments are put in after approval.
Right,
Not in right
but
now.
he's only showing one to be added,
Okay,
where you have 1, 2, 3, you have two,
Right.
Yeah, it's got a
you have
fence
two
in it.
property lines, which would be 3 pins.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
one at the end of each straight
You
line.
want them to show on that plan.
Well, that's what we were just talking about, because if you show it on the plan, it has to be added in the field too.
Right, he's not, CLA isn't showing any to be added.
No, there's one all the way to the right-hand side of the page.
That's Iron Pin Found.
Oh, so there's one there already?
There's already one there.
Oh, okay.
So on the, if you look at the David Heller one, he actually shows the one at the angle,
Yeah,
and it
he
says
shows
Iron
two.
Pin to be. And then he has one at
Yeah.
like 500 and something feet or 600 feet on that straight.
Yeah, he's showing one there, there, and there.
I mean, I think we should just add a condition that the, prior to filing of Mylar's pins, per whatever that section is of the regulations, pins to be, or they refer to them as pins to be placed, or monuments to be placed, to be added to the plan prior to filing of Mylar.
Monuments to be located.
Oh, the monumentation in my bill.
Yeah, they're not free.
This is
No, they're not free.
lot corner shall be marked with iron.
But I mean, they're really for your use, because
Be there forever.
then you know where the line is. And when your son steps over it, you say, back on your cell phone. Yeah, because he's not even showing one on the, at the street, and that's really where you want one.
Okay.
I mean, I would want one.
Honestly, I want all three of them.
Yeah, it does show that,
So if you're not objecting to it, then we
It
can
actually-
easily
it
just
show-
add that as a condition.
Yeah, but too, I want them there too. I was hoping he wasn't gonna put three, so.
Yeah,
it shows two. You said one is already there?
yeah,
It
there's
just shows
one,
on there.
right, there's one. This one is already existing apparently. Because it shows that it's found, so that means that there's one there.
Okay.
So maybe there was maybe that's why this was set up
Right,
at this
right.
location, because there was already a pin there, so they used it
Okay,
instead of making a new one, you know. Left or right. So then it would
that's
be,
the back of the property.
it would
Okay,
be
so I get you.
there and it would be one at the street.
Okay.
Well, not at the street.
So he
but-
has two here, but we're gonna, so if that one's already in, then he's just gonna put two more.
Right, so
Unless
the,
it sounds like Jim was saying, might need more than that, what was that straight distance there?
to me, that would be up to surveying standards. If
Right.
they have a requirement that needs it,
Just
but
be prepared.
for me as a planning and
Future
zoning,
reference, yeah. it's a future
I would
reference.
say, I wanna see pins there so that, especially at the street, so that you can see where it is, and make sure that it's correct. Plus, that one is right at the corner of a drainage easement too, so if anyone's ever looking for that drainage easement, you know, it's gonna be right at that marker, there's no marker there. Somebody has to survey it and find it. It's all being surveyed now, so that's the time to set a marker or a monument. Okay, so Jim, how do we word this, monuments? Monuments located at,
I would reference this section for monumentation, that was under, I think.
Yeah, and it 1021 says monuments and pins. Lot corner shall
okay,
be
so we'll
marked
just
with
say
iron upper pins, but you want one at an angle too.
monuments and, well, it's
Well, it's a
technically.
corner.
It's technically a corner, yeah, because there's two lot lines coming together, even though they're almost in a straight line, but they're not quite.
The reason the one in the easement may not be there is depending on what the wetland situation is there.
Could be two,
Because
could be
it's in the middle
swamp,
of
yeah.
the wetland, because I would have think that if they would have been put in, if they were existing easements, they should have already been there. But
Yeah. Okay, so number 5 will be monuments and pins shown on plan
COA at lot corners. Okay. Okay, so this one is. Let me just get things in order here, so please. Do we have to do a separate motion for waivers? Grant waivers, or do we include them as a?
You have to do a separate motion because
Separate motion.
waivers have to be, by 3/4, approved by 3/4 vote.
Yeah.
Whereas the approval is just majority.
Yeah, or yes, sure. Okay.
So in both cases, though, we need 3/4.
That's true, because you only have 4 members.
Yeah.
So you're gonna do the math, John?
Okay, so we'll wait for John to come back. So we'll be looking for, we'll be looking to approve waivers for 5.3.10 through 6.0 erosion. So those would be waivers. The first one, 5.3.2.
5.2.2 is a waiver.
5.3.2 would be a condition.
Okay, so we gotta separate those out.
Yeah, so look, so this one will be a condition. These would all be waivers.
So from 310 to.
To 6.0, yeah, those are all waivers.
Maybe we could do is,
So we'll
do a
do,
motion to approve waivers.
correct, yep.
And then do a motion to approve.
And then we
it
do
with
approve,
conditions.
correct, exactly, yep. Yep.
Kind of makes sense. It's
Yep.
kinda clean.
Steve, you get that? We're gonna do. For both of you, we're gonna do, oops, sorry. We're gonna do, 5.3.10,
Right.
yeah, through 6.0. We're gonna do, we need a motion for waivers on those sections. And we don't have to read it all, it's just the section. So we'll just motion to approve waivers for these section numbers. And then once, if we have 3/4 vote for that, then we'll go to a section motion to approve with conditions that I wrote out here.
So we have a motion.
So these are the 4 motions. I mean, 4 conditions. Or 5 conditions. Okay, so
We did that.
anyone like to, do we have anyone like to make a motion for anything?
I'll make a motion. For waivers for just the section numbers. Section 5.3.10.
You're making a motion to approve waivers?
I'm making a motion to approve waivers for section 5.3.10. Section 5.6. Do you want me to read it all out or just a section?
No, just section numbers, good.
Section 5.7.2. Section 5.8. Section 5.9. in section 6.0.
I second the, motion.
We have a, hey, you got the math right, so that was good. So we have a motion, we have a second. Do we have, all those in favor? Unanimous, so we passed the 3/4 mark. Okay, so we have waivers approved. Now that we have the waivers approved, do we have a motion on the application? Jim, is there anything else we need, there's nothing else we need to do, right? Yes, okay.
Wording for the application.
It would be a motion to approve the application with conditions.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the application with the following conditions. Number 1, drainage easement for southerly location to be updated with correct lot number. 2, signature block should be added for IWWC chair. 3, location map updated for section 5.3.2.
Can you read that
Is
out?
that open?
Yeah, open space.
Open space, okay. Number 4, 8.4.1, open space. This note included on plan by CLA.
Yep, and then read it. It's,
Well, that's right.
go to James' section and read that. The record.
This subdivision has been approved with an open space waiver solely because of section 8-25 of the Connecticut General Statutes as incorporated in section 8.4.1 of the Sterling subdivision regulations. The statute provides that the open space requirements of this section shall not apply if the transfer of all land and subdivision of less than 5 parcels are to a parent, child, brother, sister, grandparent, grandchild, aunt, uncle, or first cousin for no consideration. The whole-
Yeah, keep going, yeah.
Okay. The regulation provides that if the Sterling Planning and Zoning Commission determines subsequent to approval of the subdivision that such transfers were intended to be temporary or for the purpose of evading the requirements of section 8.4, the commission may, following a public hearing with notice, owing by certified mail to the violator, void in whole or in part any such subdivision approval and may cause notice thereof to be filed in the land records. And number 5, monuments and pins shown on plan by CLA at block corners. It's a 4.
Shall be shown on the plan. For monuments and things, and each lot of it. Okay? Yeah, we would have to do this. Yeah. Second motion. We have a second. Do we all those in favor? Okay, we got it. Well, you got it.
Can I approach?
That was yours.
Thank you.
Thank you for your patience. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Thank you. Hey, listen, you gotta be sure. It's okay, you're still here.
So I was gonna put a pond in
Thanks for
my
your
yard,
help.
but I don't think I'm ever gonna do that.
Yeah, put it way in the back. Put it way in the back, yeah.
Little
Don't put it
mask, don't
anywhere near your
tell.
house.
Jim, you've been wonderful. I'm sure we'll talk more.
Okay.
Excellent, thank you.
Excellent.
I'm gonna miss you guys.
Come back anytime. All right, moving on.
Second Monday of the month.
Okay, number
Enjoy your night,
7 on the agenda. Yes, you're all set. Thank you very much. Okay, item 16.
everybody.
You too.
Consider an act on boards and commissions questionnaire. Mr. Ed Adams, planning on the.
Adams.
I'm scared of my wife already.
No. That's good. This was a test.
Once in a while, when he's out there cutting wood and stuff.
I'm the old man, I missed it.
All right, I will.
They call me the old man.
Deal with it.
Okay, Mr. Ed Adams, you're up. So
Yes.
you were applying to the planning and zoning commission. And you actually just passed your first test. You didn't leave, so.
We don't know anything about you, or I don't anyway, personally. I think someone does.
I don't,
Steve
that's
Steve
it.
knows you.
Yeah.
So can you just introduce yourself, we saw your application, but, just in your words, what brings you to the commission, what makes you want to be interested in the commission, and
Yeah, well, I own a gutter company in town here. I've been running gutters for 30 years now of my life. The main reason why I want to join is just want to be involved and know what's going on in the community around us. And I'm not afraid of growth. I don't mind it as long as it makes sense, and it benefits the taxpayers for the most part, And we always seem to get screwed in the end of a lot of things, so, as long as it makes sense and it's, good for the community, then that's what I look for.
that sounds good. As you can see, the position on this commission is a lot of technical and legal
Yeah.
stuff. It's,
Yeah.
there's no small town, yeah, it looks good, yeah, it's all process and procedure, and we do have continuing education that we have to, comply with, and actually, I was gonna bring that up, we need to, start looking at schedules for classes, because I think all of us, actually, I don't know,
I didn't take anything this year.
in 2025? So, yeah, so you're in the same boat as the rest of us then, because we went to a class together in 24, yeah, so we have to do something this year.
I'm not sure. if
You
I
probably did last year,
might have last year.
so you're probably good for this year.
Well, I think there was still one thing I still needed to take. I forget what it is.
Okay, so maybe catch up on that.
Yeah.
So we have to do, what is it, 4 hours? In a year, every other year, so there's online classes, there are in-person classes to go
Oh,
to.
cool.
We did an in-person class where we all carpooled in one car, went to a class, it was actually pretty good. I didn't really mind it at all, it was actually kind of nice. So that is part of it that we have to do.
Cool.
So yeah, as long as that isn't something that
No.
scares you away, then yeah, that's pretty much full disclosure. What you saw tonight and then continuing education, that's the deal.
Yeah, you guys made it easy for them, it seems. I was talking to them, they said that the last group of people made it hard for them.
Well,
I mean, out of their mouths, I'm just saying.
well, I think I was included in the last group of people that couldn't approve their application, but again, they didn't comply with the regulation. And What
Right.
can you do? I mean, it's not a personal decision, it's what is in our regulation and what is allowed and what isn't allowed.
Now, you guys write the regulations, or
We
is
do.
it mostly from the state?
We do, so we've actually spent a lot of time
That's good.
in the
That's good,
last year, cleaning up verbiage, making things, I don't wanna say easier to comply with, but taking out the gray area and
More
making
common
things more
sense.
defined. Yeah, we reduced a lot of verbiage, something that was
Minimizing the
a
confusion.
long-winded description, and we've cut it down to be much simpler and easier to understand and therefore
Yeah.
easier to comply with.
That makes sense.
We have another item coming up that we're trying to work on, regarding, existing non-conforming structures or non-conforming, lots and structures. So the way it reads now is if you have a structure that's located on your property that, is non-conforming to a dimensional, requirement, the way it reads is you can't do any type of addition or amendment to that structure at all. Which we think is overly restrictive, so we wanna rewrite that. Not that someone has come in with an application and said, we wanna do this and we're being
Or if somebody
prevented.
wants to make their property worth. more,
But it's
I mean,
trying to be
that should-
preemptive, yeah, and, Jim is a great planner, he has found a lot of these items, and brought them up for discussion, and, I think it's really benefited the town as a whole. So, that's. Yeah, just fair balance and unbiased. This group tries to be. Yeah, sounds like you'd be a good addition to it, I would support you.
Oh, great.
Because what we do is we don't approve or deny, we recommend to the selectmen.
Yeah,
Or their
that's
decision.
it. Yeah, I'll let you know what they said. It's like,
Yeah,
Yeah, so we submit just a letter of recommendation to the selectmen and then they make the decision. Yep, well, thank you for applying, we appreciate it because, we've been short-handed for a while now, so.
How many people are normally on board?
When I started, we had 5 full-time and 3 alternates. I was the 3rd alternate and I thought I was never gonna get a full seat. And that was 4 years ago.
A couple of people, like just recently.
Yeah, we lost a couple people then, and then we've lost a couple people recently, so. Yeah, 2 chairmen in a row we lost too, so.
You're next.
Maybe my days are not, I don't know, maybe it's a curse or something, I don't know.
Judy was there, we'll talk about changing that,
The ordinance,
what's that, yeah.
Jack.
There was some discussion on this.
Yes, it was discussed last Wednesday night. So because the state reg says that you can't be a paid employee and be in certain roles unless there's an ordinance that says you can be. It needs to be written so that it's clear. Nobody can be on the board of finance. It's an elected position, but nobody that works for the town gets paid by the town can be on the board of finance. But planning and zoning, ZBA, and the wetlands, you could be a paid employee and be on those commissions as long as it's not a conflict of interest to your paid job. So there was, if the building official was a Sterling town resident, they would not be able to be on P and Z.
Planning and zoning,
or
yeah,
anything like that.
Yeah.
So,
To write the regulations and then enforce them would be a
right,
little bit much. The whole idea is that there's a separation of power between the town government and then volunteer board commissions.
so it's writing an ordinance that would allow the town to have paid employees be on those commissions would be one part. The planning and zoning commission ordinance itself says that you can't be a paid employee, so that would have to be revised. And I think ZBA has to be revised as well. There's a few other ordinances that have to be revised. But Jack wants to move forward with that.
Okay. Great. Anything else you want to add before we move on to the next item? No? Okay. Okay, we'll move on. New business. I don't think we have any new business, do we? No. There's nothing listed. Okay, CEO report. Let's just look at it real quick. Uh, 261 River Road, a request for compliance letter issued to the property owner. River Road regarding ongoing excavation activity. Letter directs cease of excavation activities to cease operations until a special permit for excavation is reviewed and approved in accordance. That's new. I haven't heard this one.
It's
Is that
public, it's Bradley's.
Oh, that side of River Road. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and he started trucking, started excavation.
Hauling stuff off the farm? Is it part of the farm?
Yeah, on River Road,
Yeah.
not the part on Main Street, but the part,
Yeah.
yeah, so that got shut down.
Is he going, do you know if he's going to apply for a permit?
I don't believe I think the correspondence that was copied to me is there's some, I guess maybe that's in court. Is this something where it's in probate?
It's an estate issue.
So their ownership of the property involves multiple people and not
Hmm.
all the applicants would be in favor necessarily of an application.
because-
So that would, my understanding
Oh,
at
so it's
this
a family
time,
feud.
yeah,
Nice.
my understanding at this time is you would not see an application anytime soon.
Because they need to excavate to get the money to pay for the
Okay.
Thanks to that.
So that's for them to sort out.
yes.
1092 and 1100 Plainfield type variance approvals were granted for a proposed lot line adjustment between the properties of 1092 and 1100. Relief from approved section 4.02 regarding the required 150 by 150 building rectangle and a variance from section 4.0 approved.
So that's similar to the Mr. and Mrs. Iafredi.
I didn't know they were asking for the building rectangle. That must have came up during the ZBA hearing
Yeah,
because it was just the minimum lot size was the original application.
The existing lot lines needed to be shifted to.
Right,
the
to
septic.
accommodate the septic system.
Yeah.
Because even with the minimum, it was a strange one or an odd one only because you're creating you're taking a non-conforming lot and you're,
making two more out of it. Two out of
well, no, they're already both non-conforming.
There's two non-conforming
Just one's
lots.
a little less non-conforming, 'cause it's a little bigger. But you need to make the other one a little bit bigger and the other one a little smaller in order to make it so that they could both have a septic system. What I didn't know is, I didn't
So
know
they're
what they
splitting
both
hairs to
had.
get septic systems in.
Right, they're trying to fit septic systems in, so it's kind of a health department issue to a degree.
Were
What?
there residences on the properties or are they new?
This isn't a new construction.
Yeah,
It's,
so they were just trying to,
they're they need to replace the septic.
they need to replace
systems
septic
in
systems
order
and
to
they had
do
to
it.
do a lot line to try and get the.
So like cesspools, possibly?
It may have been
Probably.
cesspools, it may have been,
That sounds
it was
to me
hard to tell, at least in the research that I had done, and I didn't attend the public hearing, so I wasn't sure if they had an engineer representing them.
It sounds like what variances are for. Look, I'm stuck in a
Who
situation.
explained, right,
I need to fix this.
I
If a
bought
lot
this-
line adjustment does it, okay. I mean, so I don't have any details.
because I couldn't,
but-
I did a quick little parcel history, because I was curious as to how it was ever separated to begin with.
Yeah, if those are two empty lots trying to do that, well, that would probably be another issue, but that's existing house right now there.
There's two existing houses.
Yeah.
It was
We'll
a
find a
family.
way.
It was two existing houses with one driveway.
It was family.
Right.
Family for a time and it's not.
So one big beach.
People are temporary and land is forever, so. Okay, next one, residential zoning approvals. 2 applications for single-family residential dwellings were reviewed and approved for zoning compliance. They were on Sterling Ridge Lane and Margaret Henry Road. Accessory dwelling unit inquiries, responded to an inquiry, just one, regarding the conversion of an existing garage into accessory dwelling unit. Information was provided concerning zoning regulations, permitting procedures, and application regulations, doesn't say where it was.
It also says multiples existing garages into ADUs.
Yeah,
So do we have any accessory dwelling units after we changed our,
Not yet.
rules like a year
Not yet.
or two ago?
I mean, we haven't seen any unless they went through.
They're just.
Well, they wouldn't necessarily come to you.
No,
because
they
they're
wouldn't come to
residential.
us if it was part of a, like a building permit application.
Well,
We could ask the zoning enforcement officer if he could, like, just
The-
let
the
us
building
know
permit.
based on when the
It's written as
regulations
a
were
report.
changed.
curious if anybody's built anything.
Right,
I could ask John for, yeah, I could ask John to send us, just put it in his report if he approves any, just so we know.
Yeah, it's good information to have.
The last one, 0 Plainfield Pike excavation site, Mr. Corson. Correspondence was conducted with budding property owners regarding excavation at 0 Plainfield Pike, communications addressing zoning compliance concerns, provided clarification to the process. Doesn't say there's an issue,
It was
unless there was.
one of the abutting property owners was talking to John saying that they didn't have the opportunity to speak at the meeting. He clarified that there had been 2 public hearings prior to that, and that was the opportunity to speak.
Oh, okay, was that was based on last month? Yeah,
And
okay.
they did have opportunities to speak.
They did.
just
Yes.
decided to-
And she said that they did,
Yes.
but she just had more questions, but you're outside of the public hearing timeframe. She didn't have all of her questions.
They still
during
could have
the
spoken at there was public comment section at the last
And
meeting.
that was,
was it Mrs. Hoffman?
yes.
I talked to her, she called me, and she gave me her questions, I told her I'd get back to her.
Yeah, she had questions for quite a few. So,
She was respectful at both meetings.
oh, and she was respectful here as well. She just didn't understand.
Yeah, she wasn't, she shouldn't be grouped in with the others
Oh,
who
no.
were, yeah.
I don't even know if someone
Okay, that's it
close that. Number 9, other business, regulation priorities. It's late, we don't have to do anything tonight, but I think that next item is the one I just mentioned earlier about, non-conforming buildings and lots. So
The other thing that
we'll work on that.
we're gonna wanna look at is with the new House bill, HB,
I can't remember the number, I know what you mean.
there are some regulations that deal with, mixed use. I don't know exactly how it would affect you guys because you don't have districts.
Right,
But mixed use or existing commercial structures that are abandoned are, may be able to be, converted into residential uses
so what do you find?
through what they reference as just accessory, review, which
Yeah.
really is just site plan review.
Yeah,
Which I don't know if that's any different than what your regulations currently say.
Would this be like an abandoned mill or something like that?
It could be an abandoned mill, it could be, like just a commercial,
Old churches and stuff.
it could be an old church, it could be a right,
I thought it was more like commercial buildings that are zoned commercial, could be.
I think that's what's intended
They
for, it's
wouldn't have
intended
to
for
go
more
through
like a,
rezone in order
Right.
to have like a mixed use.
so that you had, commercial on the bottom and residential up top kind of
Yeah,
thing.
without having to do a full zone
Okay.
change application.
And without having to do a full, like, public hearing, special permit application, that type of thing. One of the other,
In bigger
Aspects.
towns with these old buildings, it's like a way to get them to be reused without having to go through a long-winded zoning appeal process or,
You also get more
Um,
dwelling units.
I wonder why they did that.
yeah, exactly. But for a town like us, it doesn't really apply. We don't really have that problem, so. And we don't have zones, so you wouldn't have to rezone to get.
and there's also
Commercial building
some,
and
some new stipulations in regards to, residential parking requirements. If you're not, unless you have a residential development that has more than 16, that requires more than 16 parking spaces or something along those lines, how it's approved changes a little bit, or you can't require a minimum amount of parking spaces for a development. Essentially,
Isn't it changed, like, you only can require one parking spot per, where before you could have said, we want 2.
no, you can't require any.
Now you can't require any, where they park.
Unless they have it, unless the development is of a certain size, you can require a parking type of study,
What do you mean by development?
like a residential development.
You mean like a
apartment complex.
subdivision with a road?
No, he means like multi-family
Like
or
apartment.
Like an apartment
multi-unit.
building?
Yeah, condo.
So if you had like 16 apartments in this one building, you couldn't say you need so many parking spots? It doesn't make
Correct.
sense.
Well, if you live,
If you're in
I would
downtown
say-
Boston.
I was gonna say, if you're in Hartford or Bridgeport or something like that, it's not necessarily because they wanna push you to mass
You
transit.
can't jump on a bus in Sterling.
Right.
Right, yeah, if you have,
Unless it's
if you have a
orange.
public transport system,
Well,
bus,
there-
subway, whatever, you don't need, you might.
There are
not
some
have-
other, right, some other kind of quirky things that, all the cogs within the state are finalizing a document that we can share with you guys once it's been, finalized and completed. That kind of goes into more of the nuts and bolts and details of everything. A lot of it, I don't think will affect Sterling because of the way your zoning is set up and because you're a little more rural than some of the other towns,
A little more.
a little more.
It's town first that way, no?
Yeah, I mean, you won't see massive wholesale changes from this.
Yeah.
current version, I'll guarantee you that.
8,002.
HB
House bill
8002.
8,002. Okay. All right, so we'll look into that at the next meeting that doesn't have, I'm assuming, applications on it. Those two are big ones. That's what that's the time. Okay, moving on. Audience comments. We have no audience. There's no one on Zoom that wants to. Results done anyway. Okay, final item adjournment. Does anyone like to make a motion? You've been nominated.
Big motion, we adjourn.
Second? All those in favor? Okay. Anybody who wants them? I have two of them actually.
You do? Okay.
I printed one and then